It's because I'm on.
Welcome to Magic and Mysticism, the podcast, starring Tommy Burnett. Where every Friday afternoon he interviews a mystery performer about magic and mentalism as an art form. Today's guest, Master Magician, Brandon Williams. And now, your host, Tommy Burnett.
Hey guys, welcome to the third episode of Magic and Mysticism, the podcast, starring yours truly, Tommy Burnett. And today we have a very good friend of mine, Brandon Williams, is going to be on the show today. So let's bring him in, my good friend, Brandon Williams. Where is he? Here he is.
Hey guys. What's up, Tommy?
How you doing, my brother?
I'm all right. I'm good. How about you?
Good. I'm good.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks for being here. Had a little technical difficulty earlier today.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about you. I'm talking about me. But I'm glad you're here, man.
Cool. Me too.
For anyone watching, Brandon Williams is one of my best friends, and we collaborate all the time. We jam all the time, and we've worked together many times, and I'm very honored to have him on the show today. So hopefully you enjoy what we talk about. So here we go.
Well, first off, I just want to say I'm actually very proud of you for having this podcast because it's always seemed like something that you would do, and I'm happy that you've picked it up. The past shows have been great, so I'm happy to be part of it. So,
thank you.
Yeah,
it means a lot. So let's just dive right in.
Okay.
Before we go into the standard questions, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been doing recently.
Okay. So first off, my name is Brandon Williams. I'm the Suit and Tie Magician. You can find me everywhere. Suit and Tie Magic. Everything spelled out. Everything spelled normal. 2020 hit everybody really hard, and it was actually I had plans lined up for 2020, and everything kind of just fell through. So I don't know. I've kind of just been in the same boat as everybody else. I've kind of just been struggling to get the gig, to promote my magic material. I make magic products, decks, and whatnot. But on the side, I've kind of been writing a book. I've been dabbling in this and that, and recently I've been actually getting onto podcasts, different podcasts about like human hacking, social engineering, and then yesterday I had 2 gigs, which just kind of came out of nowhere. So I'm happy for those. One was in person, and then one was a virtual show, and it's kind of just a bit of things here and there. So I just want everybody to know that you're not the only one struggling, and we're all in this together. So, but yeah, I guess that's the long answer of your question.
Yeah, no. Well, we have all the time in the world. There's no time limit on this. So,
cool.
Episode 1 was 45 minutes. Episode
it's gonna be 3 hours.
Well, I think it was a little bit over an hour. So, as long as you have the time, I have the time as well. So,
you tell me, I've got all the time.
So just so people know, your website is suitandtiemagic's.com, and you can be also found on Instagram under the same name, Suit and Tie Magic.
Yeah.
So, and we'll bring it up again later.
Hence, I'm super casual today.
Yes. So am I. No ties today.
Yep. You're on a tie diet.
Yeah. This is the closest thing to a turtleneck that I have. It's not really a turtleneck, but It'll look,
Honestly, I hate turtlenecks. I can't wear them. They just feel like they're choking me. But
yeah.
that's why I wear a
Yeah.
tie instead. It's classier.
I grew up wearing turtlenecks, and I stopped wearing them for a long time, and in the last couple of years, I started wearing them again. I actually like the way they feel, but
You would.
I would. Well, hey, I have the turtle head, so yeah,
No, you can't go like.
yeah. So I know you do many wonderful magic now, but let's talk about how you first got into magic, and we'll work our way up
Okay.
the different styles that you.
Cool. So I got into magic when I was 4. That was when I first saw like my first real trick in person. It was my grandmother's second wedding. I was a ring bearer at her wedding, so I was like at the VIP table, and there was a magician there doing a trick. It was one of these tricks where he's got like 2 coins on the table. He put a cup on top of it, moved the cup around, and 1 coin vanished. And we know this now as like scotch and soda. I didn't know what this was, and I really, really wanted to figure out that one trick. And by the time I figured out that one trick, it was like years later, and I figured out a whole bunch of other tricks. And then at that point, I figured might as well be a magician since I know all these secrets. I later found out that magician was a family friend who knew like 3 tricks. So I was kind of disappointed because I thought he was a real magician, and he knew 3 tricks. But at that point, I was bitten by the magic bug. I loved it, and then I just kept pursuing it. And then my first, I guess, professional work doing magic was, and it was actually like my real first job. I worked at Toys R Us in Times Square, and I was working for a company called Marvin's Magic, and I was selling the magic products. And that's when I realized you could get paid to do magic. Again, I hadn't seen many magicians actually doing this for real. So this was, I guess, where I first realized you can get paid doing magic and you can get paid doing what you love. And so that's how I became kind of full-time magician.
Nice.
Mhm.
Oh, I am being distracted by my dog, Benji.
I love Benji. Hi, Benji.
Hi, I'm trying to listen, but he just got back from a walk and he's kind of cold, so he's curling up on my
Oh, it's our first viewer on the phone.
wow. No, this is Apollo calling. I'm not gonna answer it because well, I'm here. And hopefully
No, he just wants the link so he can see what I'm saying.
I'm sure he probably does, but he can figure it out. So what are the different types of magic that you do now? I know you do like close up and mentalism
Mhm.
and pickpocketing,
Yeah.
but I know you've been venturing out doing more like go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, I kind of just dabble in everything. Close up is my favorite for sure. And then in close up, you've got everything from card tricks, you got coin tricks, borrowed object stuff. Pretty much anything I could get my hands on, spur of the moment. That's my specialty. Like I love dealing with people close up. And of course, mentalism, and I have you to thank for a lot of the stuff that I do. So I'm very happy to have a best friend who's a mentalist. I've got my twin who's a mentalist, so I learn a lot from you guys. But then I also do sideshow, which is kind of like that real magic. There's no trick involved. It's kind of just science-based. Everything from hammering a nail into my nose, glass eating, glass walking, fire breathing. And then, as you mentioned, I also dabble in pickpocketing. So that one I've actually had a lot of joy in doing. I'm kind of making a small name for myself doing that. And then, you throw everything else in, some escapes here and there, some impossible bottles here and there, so it's like anything that I find an interest in, I end up, taking apart and making it my own. So
I love the impossible bottles, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just had an idea for one. I'll give it to you after the show.
Cool, cool.
Um, and I mean, there isn't anything you do that I don't like, to be honest with you.
Stop. You're just taking my line.
And I know you've met a lot of people along the way, and I know some of your influences, but who are the people who really influence you the most besides me?
I laugh because it's true. I don't laugh because it's funny. So obviously, when I was younger, David Blaine was taking the spotlight. So for me, he was definitely a great, I guess, intro into magic and a good influence. But what I tell a lot of people is normally I'll refer to Penn and Teller's Fool Us. I love Penn and Teller, but it's mostly the people to me who are on that stage. The guys who create the tricks, the guys who are behind the scenes, the guys who consult the TV magicians. The ones that everybody knows. So it's a lot of those, I guess, to the public, the unknown name magicians that that they don't know about. Those are the guys who I really look up to. So you got everybody like Matthew Beesh, Jay Sankey, Richard Sanders, Rick Ferguson, Daniel Garcia, Wayne Houchin, all of these guys. I look up to all of them. I love the creative minds, and I love the guys who, I guess, kind of pushed me and gave me the material I started off with, and now I kind of just make my own material with that inspiration. So, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm gonna have to edit this one. Is there anybody you admire that you want to meet but you haven't met yet?
Magic wise, yeah. Okay. Honestly, I had a very, very good opportunity to meet a lot of these magicians. I think it was 2018, I believe. It was either 2017, 2018 that I ended up going with a friend of mine to Vegas, and it just so happened to be the time of Magic Live. And I met so many people that year. People who I watch their stuff frequently on YouTube, on their own channels, on their websites, and I followed them for a while. And I met a lot of these people. And honestly, I think that was the year for my magic bucket list. I mean, I'm sure there are still a few people who I'd want to meet, but for instance, one of my favorites. So obviously, I mentioned that Daniel Garcia is one of the people I looked up to. I met him. He bought me a drink. We spoke about, creating magic. I showed him a couple of tricks that he made that I do, and he's like, "Wow, you perform them better than everybody else." And actually, one of my favorite meet and greets was there were these band of magicians called Magic X that they made Totally Hidden Extreme Magic, or them for short, Room 401. And when these shows came out when I was younger, this was still like MySpace time. I contacted like 2 or 3 of these members of that group, and I reached out to them. I said, "Hey, I want to get into getting a group of magicians together. What would be some advice you would give me?" And these guys actually reached out to me. It was awesome. I got like one message this long from one guy, and then I got another one that was like, I had to scroll down for a while, and that was great. And the longer message was a guy named Rico de la Vega. And Room 401, he's the bald guy. But yeah, he, this was when I was like early teens, and to have a professional magician reach out to me almost instantly, that was something special. And so this guy gave me advice and whatnot, and then I finally got a chance to meet him at Magic Live. And as I'm approaching and I'm about to shake his hand and introduce myself, my eyes always like water and I get like chills. He goes, Brennan Williams, Student Type Magic. You know, it's just like I didn't have to say anything. Like he told me he's been following me since MySpace, and you know he's been watching me develop into the magician I am today, and he even goes as far as saying, "How's your mom?" And I'm just like, "What? That's crazy!" And like that night, I couldn't sleep till like 5 in the morning. Like I mean, it was just like I was so starstruck from just the whole Magic Live experience, and so yeah, I got to meet a whole bunch of people and show them my stuff, and it was great. I took pictures of everybody. I showed them all some tricks of mine, and I had people, people you've seen on AGT, people you've seen on Wizard Wars, all of this stuff, and they actually took their time, went to the side with me, let me show them some stuff. We spoke a bunch, and it was just like that was the year for me, and I mean, honestly, like I'd have to dig deep to find, any magician I still want to meet because I met a lot of them that year. So, yeah, definitely a good year. Yeah, and they're all fun. They're all very inviting, and they have time for you. It's great. It's like a lot of people say, never meet your heroes, and honestly, like I met all these guys that I met, and I would say even that year, I probably found one person who was kind of like either too busy or just wanted to hang with the big names. But that was like one or two, out of 300, 400, 500 people I met, and they're all very, very sociable and friendly. So it was great, So great experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, what is your favorite magic story that has happened to you?
So I am glad that you asked me in advance because I had to think of, I have a bunch, but I would say my favorite magic story. I was working at a place called Carnival for Bowmore Lanes, and I'm performing, I'm walking around doing all my magic stuff, and then finally I performed for some of the staff members, some of the other kind of entertainers, the people with the water gun kind of carnival game. And so I'm doing this one trick that I had seen David Blaine do, and I was ready to do it. I was about to dive in, and the person stops me and goes, "Hey, I saw this one trick. I don't know if you could do it. David Blaine did this," and so I asked him to describe it, and it was the exact same trick I was going to do. So then, I mean, the odds that this would happen is just crazy. So, I heard the whole story of what the trick looked like, and I'm thinking to myself, this is the exact trick I'm gonna do. So then I go, okay, walk me through it. So now they're saying, okay, you're gonna have me pick a card. So then I had them pick the card, and then they're telling me the next step. So you lose in the deck, and I go, okay, and then you try to find it, and then I try to find it, and I'm like, is this your card? And they're like, but you're gonna get it wrong, and I'm like, but was this your card? And they're like, no. Like, so what happens? So then you tear it up. Okay, so I tear it up. You put it down. I put it down, and then I tell you my card. I'm like, this doesn't sound like a great trick. So they tell me the card, and I'm like, so that's it? I mean, I didn't do anything, and they're like, no, remember, this is where you change it into that card. So I shook the card, it changed. And it was their card. And I'm like, oh my God, that was crazy. And they said, but what about those pieces? They go, that should be the card that you had in. Oh my gosh. And they flipped it over. So I started freaking out. And then finally, because I know what the next move is where those ripped pieces are going to fix in their hand, I was way ahead of them. So then I do my secret move. And then I go, oh, that was kind of cool. Was that it? And they go, no. Then you give me the pieces, you wave your hand over mine, and it fixes. And I go, so I give you this, I wave. Did you feel anything? They're like, no. Huh, that sucks. And then they open, it's fixed, and they're like, ah! So it was great because, like, again, they're telling me step by step the exact. I'm glad that their memory was good, that they knew every part of it. Yeah. But like, to have someone tell you what you need to do, and you seemingly are unaware, and then you can do it right there on the spot. Like, it looked completely impromptu, and they were still blown away. And it's just like, again, that's never happened to me it was that one time, and I mean, I can't imagine that would happen again, you know. But boy, what
Great, great.
yeah, yeah, that's gotta be my favorite for sure. So
That would be my favorite too. I'm not that lucky.
no, I can't imagine this happens to many people at all because
Yeah.
yeah, like that's very very slim of a chance.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That was great.
Thank you.
Going to the opposite extreme
Mhm.
is the scariest or worst thing that has happened to you magic wise.
You know, I would say the worst thing. I don't know, scariest. Like, I mean, I would like to say because I have dabbled in like mini seances before. You know, just kind of out fun, just to scare people. You know, I've never seen a ghost. I've never seen weird things like that. But I would say the scariest thing that happened to me. Oh, actually, I've witnessed good friends of mine. You know, my brother and a couple of other people do a spike roulette, and you know how that goes. You get the wrong one just that one show, and so I've seen that. Like I watched my brother do a spike roulette, and I knew which one the spike was in, and you know, and for safety measures, he told me to just signal him if he is going for the wrong one. Obviously, you know, for the most part, I would just kind of leave it alone. And so he did what a lot of the spike roulette guys do, where they kind of hover over the spike, you know, the spike cup, and then they diagonal it onto the empty cup as they smash down. So he had his hand above the empty cup, and I thought he was going to smash down there. But he did the diagonal, so I couldn't signal him because I didn't know he was going to, you know, last minute just switch. So it went down, and luckily it kind of just hit the side of his hand as opposed to center. But it's just like, you know, that's me seeing my twin about to just lose his whole hand, and it's like crazy, you know. So luckily that happened one time. He walked out with a scratch, and you know, that was something. The worst thing that happened to me though was I produced a bowling ball from an empty bag, and it landed on my toe. Oh, you're on mute. Yeah. I was wondering why I couldn't hear you laugh the whole time.
That's funny. Well, I was laughing too. My neighbors are kind of loud, so
Yeah, cool.
yeah. Yeah, no, it was yikes. I actually did stab my hand once doing
Yeah,
that.
you told me the story. I'm glad I didn't experience it,
Yeah.
but I can visualize that whole happening, and so I feel like I lived your moment with you. So I'm glad that your hand's okay. So
Yeah, me too. Luckily, it barely pierced the skin, but it was a good story for about a month. But no more.
oh wow, the stigmata's gone.
And I can't even say, look what happened to me.
Now you gotta just go to your kitchen, just cut your hand open again.
I thought about it.
No, and this is why I stick to staple guns. It's like, you know, you can only fail so much with a staple gun, you know.
Yeah, true. That's true.
Yeah.
You perform all over. Um, is there one place that you is like your favorite place that you ever performed at?
Yes. And so let me just tell you, I've gone everywhere from New York to Seattle, performing. I went to Hong Kong and Thailand, and obviously I performed where I travel. Uh, Weirdly enough, the place that I most enjoyed was in New York. You know, this is where I live. But there was this one event. It was a corporate event, and I tell you, they went all out. You know, I think they were doing a celebration for all the employees. They rented out the entire Museum of Natural History, multiple floors. I think maybe 3 floors worth, and the planetarium. And they had a live band on the stage. They had other people walking around with instruments to, I guess, like emphasize like the hard hitting parts of the song. So like, it must be the money. They would go "Rah, rah, 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 rah," as they're walking around. You had multiple bars. You had those old arcade games. You had couches. You had pillows with the company logo on them. You had people walking around with shrimp and snacks, and then you had like other shrimp bars, lobster, and you didn't have to pay for anything. It was just like, I mean, everybody. It was just like everybody was well dressed. Everybody was tipping well. And again, you were just getting food left and right. I think they had to hire out maybe like 7 magicians, 3 jugglers, 2 stilt walkers. I mean, like they went all out. Like they had to at least have dropped a couple, at least $1 million. If you went cheaper than that, that was a steal. But like that was my favorite event that I've ever performed, and that was right here in the city. So, oh man, that was great. I still have pictures and videos on my phone, and I've erased everything off my phone to clear up memory, and that's still in there because I'm just like, those memories are good. Yeah.
I'm going to skip ahead a little bit.
Okay.
When you perform, what is one way you can make a strong connection with your audience?
So, depending on the situation with me, I do again a lot of close-up. So obviously it's more intimate. I'm happier doing this that type of performance. I find it kind of for me harder to connect on stage, away from everybody. So I'm going to just talk about close-up, but every audience is different. Every event that you go to is different. If you go to a house party, that's different than a corporate party for sure. But one of my favorite ways to connect is joking. So, I'll go in, for instance, my first trick would be, I'll go up to someone and go, "Oh, excuse me, sir, you've got some black on your shirt," and then pull out like a black sponge ball. And already they know I'm a magician, I caught them off guard. And then I kind of just throw puns throughout the entire performance. So I like making people laugh. I know some people, and again, I'll joke sometimes, I'll connect other ways, I'll ask questions, I'll actually, before I even do a trick sometimes, I'll kind of sit down with a group of people, I'll tell them I'm a magician, hey, how's it going, get their names, and talk for a bit, get to know them, get to know if they've seen magic before, what's their favorite trick, oh, let me show you something similar, and ideally, even though I like to perform lots of tricks, one after the next, obviously everything that flows well together. I like to just give very visual tricks for everybody to see, so they came and take a breath and they're just like, wow, that was even crazier. But, I think my favorite times is when it's very chill, very relaxed. And, like I went to this party once where I was invited and I was hired. Okay, because it was a birthday party of a friend of mine who wanted me as a magician, but he said, come as a guest, but also come to perform. And so I did both. It wasn't like there was a stage or anything. So I'm just walking around. He's introducing me. He's telling me, oh, this is my friend. He works in HR, just so he doesn't introduce me as a magician. So now I'm just talking to the people. I'm getting to know them. And then maybe 15 minutes into the conversation, then I bust out quick, I don't really do like a card trick. I go, oh, hey, that's a really nice ring. Can I see it? And then do some magic with the ring. So now they're totally caught off guard, but they've gotten to know me and I've gotten to know them. And now I can use what they said in my pattern and I can, go from there. So I really, really like those opportunities where I don't have to perform, on stage or they announce me as the magician. I like to kind of go in covertly when possible and actually make a real connection there and then find a way to work in the magic. I think that is my favorite way because it's the way to connect the most, Yeah.
I like that answer. Good answer.
Yeah.
I like it.
So I like it.
So if someone were to ask you, like somebody who wanted to enter a career as a musician or a mentalist, what would one thing you would recommend for them to do?
Well, for one, two-part answer. One of them is just, to me, kind of just important to get off, off the bat, is I know a lot of people, and me included, I like to go on YouTube and try to learn things. It's free, it's easy, you type the thing and you find it. But I know a lot of people on YouTube, they either don't know exactly what it is that they're talking about, or they don't know how to teach it right, or they give you the wrong technique. So first off, I would tell people, don't rely on YouTube. Go to the main sources, go to the sources that those people will go to, which is normally books, maybe DVDs, magic shop, or talk to magicians. That's just a given. So I wanted to get that out of the way. But with my experience, kind of a separate answer is, when I was getting into magic, we're talking about 2007 is when I professionally started doing magic. Magic at that time, because magic kind of has its highs and its lows, and it just keeps going. I think now magic is like at its all-time high. But at the time that I was getting into magic, magic was kind of, you had David Blaine, you had Chris Angel, but it was still kind of medium high, and then it went back down. So when I was getting into magic, I'm one of the few colored people in my neighborhood who were doing magic, and I was one of the only people in a 20 block radius doing magic. So it's just like, it wasn't one of those things where people saw it as, so you're going to stick with this till you're 20 and 30. It was kind of a hobby that I kept too long, is what a lot of people thought. And so I kind of had to fight that stigma of people saying, "Hey, aren't you too old to be doing this?" I'm in college still doing card tricks. So, and if you look at me now, I mean, I've made a living off of it. I've made it as professional as I can, and I'm starting to get recognition from it. So my biggest tip, beyond YouTube, beyond the sources of where to learn the tricks, is, and this goes to more than just magic or mentalism or whatever. It goes to any field. If there's something you like, whether everybody's doing it or nobody's doing it, if you enjoy it, stick with it. Take it as far as you can, make it your own, and it there's obviously a chance it's going to flop, like with any business, like with any career, any hobby, people pick it up and let it go. But if you stick with it long enough, and you enjoy it, I think the most important thing is enjoy what you're doing, even if, again, nobody gets it. And maybe one day it'll take off, and at least you'll be happy doing it. So I would say that's my biggest tip, is find something that you like. If it's magic, if it's mentalism, do it regardless of what people say. If nobody seems to support it, if too many people are doing it and you're getting lost in the mix, do it anyway. I think that's definitely the biggest tip I have.
Yeah, definitely. I think do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very
and do it to the fullest. Don't kind of stop halfway and assume that that's it. There's more to the cake than just the cake and the topping. There's everything else. There's the surrounding. You wanna take it, make it yours, and make it bigger than the last person you saw. So
right. Yeah, but that's why I always ask about making a connection with it. Because I think it's almost more important than doing a magic.
Yeah. Magic is secondary, honestly. The magic is what makes you different. It's what helps you stand out, I guess. But the connection is basically the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well put.
Thank you.
What is one of your favorite magic theories, that you use on a regular basis?
So I have a quote that I've kind of just, I guess, since MySpace, I would put this like next to my profile picture or under my profile picture. There's one quote that I heard that was, in order to achieve the impossible, you must first believe it's possible. And, you know, that's just something I've lived by since forever, you know. And it didn't just apply to magic, you know. I mean, look at Usain Bolt, you know, Bolt. You know, nobody ran faster than him before him, you know, and I mean, nobody beat his record before he did, and everybody thought that that was the fastest a person could run, you know, and you know, he wouldn't have trained as hard as he trained if he didn't believe that you could go just a bit faster, you know, a bit further. And I feel the same way. It's like, you know, for magic, you know, you look up card tricks, and then especially getting into it, you think everything's been done already. You know, when you want to come up with your first card trick and you go and show it to a magician, they're like, "Oh, that's already been done," and it's kind of disappointing. But you know, you keep doing it anyway. Eventually, you'll find a point where people haven't, you know, you'll find the road less traveled, and you'll find where kind of the trick stopped. You know, um, I like this trick, but can it be done visually? I like this prop, but can it be done impromptu? You know, and a lot of people told me no back in the day for a lot of the things I wanted to do, and I just thought, why no? Is it because you don't do it? Is it because they haven't done it? You know, and honestly, you know, and this isn't just magic related. Obviously, the impossible isn't just the little miracles that we do. You know, reading someone's mind or doing a trick. You know, it's can this car go faster? You know, it's all this stuff, and I feel like I've taken that one quote and put it everywhere in my life. You know, schoolwork, artwork, you know, everything. And I think that's the biggest thing I live by is, you know, nothing's impossible. It's probably very improbable. And if it is impossible, then you do the next best thing and you fake it, you know? Um, but, you know, I've just grown up teaching myself anything's possible. And it's taken me a long way, for sure.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
I've seen you. I'm watching you. I'm watching you.
And so are the followers.
So when you have an effect,
Mhm.
you frame it in a certain way. How do you do that in order to get the best reaction from your audience?
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm the type of person who likes to do a lot of tricks. You know, to me, it's fun for me to perform. You know, obviously, I like to connect, but I also like to just toss many tricks, you know, at people. And I know as I go along, you know, as I perform, you're gonna forget the previous couple of tricks. You know, it's obviously building up to a bigger picture. But I like to frame it in a way where, first of all, everything kind of connects, so you can follow what I'm doing. Because I've seen magicians do one card trick and then a different trick that had nothing to do with the last trick, and then you kind of just get lost in the mix, not knowing which way's up. So I like to connect everything as best I can, you know, even if it's just a fancy transition with my words, you know. Um, Secondly, you know, as we go to the bigger finale, you know, you're gonna forget the first trick I did. You're gonna forget the one in the middle. But I like to kind of reiterate, you know. So at the beginning, you did this, you did that. You know, I like to remind people right before the punch of each trick. You know, you shuffled the card, you chose the card at random, you shuffled it, and you know, it kind of it helps them remember what they saw. And then when they're able to tell it to their friend, they can tell it in the cleanest way possible. You know, instead of I think he did this, I think he did that, because, that's not a real story. That's more of an opinion, I guess. A kind of blurred opinion that they might think. I don't like that. I like people to. The best stories that I've been told were the ones that were told 100 times. The ones that all the details were there, and I like to remind people of the details that made the event. Made the experience. And that's just from beginning to end of my show. But if we're talking about one particular trick, I really like to, and again, this is probably trade secret, but sometimes I will eliminate some of the stuff that maybe didn't work out well, or maybe when someone saw me bump them to take their wallet, I want them to forget that I bumped into them. So I will tell them what they need to know. I will tell them what they want to remember and how they want to remember it. If I did a levitation that only went this high, I'll ask them, how high did I go? And then by the end, they'll remember I went this high. Because to me, magic is obviously in the moment. It's cool and all, and when the card disappears and you see it just here and it's gone. That's amazing. But the magic lives on after that. When people tell their friends, when people are old and remember when they were 25 and getting married, there's a magician there. To me, the magic is more important after the fact. So I try to make it so that that the memory of the trick is bigger than what I did. And it definitely helps when you make a connection with people, and it definitely helps if you're a good storyteller. Because if you're not the best at sleight of hand, and I'm not, I manage, I can do some of the sneaky moves, but I'm not the best at sleight of hand. There are move monkeys way better than me, but I'll do things.
It's so humble.
Mm-hmm. No, I've definitely seen better card mechanics than me, but I'll take the sleight that I do it the best I can. But the story, the way that I recite the story, the way that I kind of alter their memory, is going to make that sneaky move and the trick that I do way bigger. And I feel like that to me is where magic lies. It lies in retrospect, and so that's how I kind of go about framing things. Every trick I try to perform is the best trick that I can perform in that moment. But the tricks that I want you to remember are the biggest ones that have the biggest impact, that change your life, that make you think that wasn't, and yeah. So.
Good answer.
Thank you.
I always ask this next question, but most people have already answered it, and I think you kind of already answered it too. But if you had 5 minutes with a participant,
Mm-hmm.
you had to choose between performing and making a connection, what would it be?
So ideally for me, I would say both. But without picking both, the answer I wish I could say is make a connection. That's the one I wish I could say. The one I would do most often is do a trick that I think that they're never going to see elsewhere. And which brings me to my company, my logo. My logo for Suit and Tie Magic is a guy in a suit and tie with no face. And the reason I did that was because I used to think that people don't remember me, but they remember what I did. They remember there was a guy in a suit and tie, some magician, I forget his face. I forget what he looked like, but he did this. They remember the experience for sure. They remember, I took a card, I tore it, and it changed as I tore it. That's what they'll remember. Obviously, if you have a good personality and they enjoyed what you did, they'll remember you. But again, that was my belief back then, and I still kind of feel that to this day. 50 years from now, is someone going to remember Brandon Williams? Maybe, maybe not. But they'll definitely remember the thing that you did for them. They'll remember the experience you gave them. And so I think my answer would be I would do something impossible rather than make a connection. If I had to pick one. Obviously, if given an opportunity to sit down with one person and relax as opposed to bring them up on stage, I would definitely make a connection. But if I have 5 minutes to perform for a bunch of people and I have one person on stage, I would show them something that they're not going to see anywhere else, because that's the thing they're going to remember, whether they remember me or not, they're going to remember that thing, So that's going to be my answer is I would do a really great trick.
Sounds good. Sorry, I lost my seat. Is there anything that we haven't covered yet that you would like to talk about?
Yeah. When are we hanging out again?
I know, right? Want to come over later?
No, I do miss hanging out with you. I mean, I know you know this, but to everybody else, it's like every time me and Tommy hang out, like we just get lost in creating, and it's like by the time I leave, we have like 50 new ideas, and I never have a bad time, bad hanging out with Tommy. In fact, I think it's always like a nice recharge for me. Like I'm here creating at home by myself. I'm here performing to my girlfriend, to my raps, to the mirror. When I hang out with Tommy, I think I get my strongest laughs and I get super inspired. I mean, and I know you feel the same way. You've told me, and it's just like it definitely like unlocks the door in my mind that it's like, was starting to collect dust, and like, I always feel like a better magician when I leave. So we definitely need to hang out again for sure.
Yeah, definitely. ASAP. Definitely. Whenever you're available, I will make the time.
Cool.
It's the same for me, but sometimes I feel, especially now during COVID, I sometimes like I'm stagnant and I feel like I'm not moving. And then you come over and we, like you said, we get like 15, 20 new ideas that are like really good. And that gives me fuel to get moving again, so.
No, and it's crazy. I mean, between 2020 and the fact that it's winter now and there's no light, and this is like everything that could make my mood lessen, fewer gigs throughout the year, I wake up and I feel like I woke up late, or it's 9 o'clock and it feels like I'm up at 1 in the morning. It's like everything is a mood killer for me. And when I hang out with you, it's just like all of that is just set to the side and super recharged, So it's definitely a good mood with you. So
thank you, my friend. Would you like to perform some for us?
No.
Okay.
No, you know what? I may have thought of a trick that I wanted to perform. So let me see.
Do you need me, or do you want the whole?
You know what? I'll just I'll perform. Let's just see how it goes. I might just use random cards, okay? Because I know that there's a delay sometimes. And I don't want to, let's say, dribble the cards and you say stop, and then I dribble somewhere else, So we'll just take random cards and see how it goes, okay? So first off, let me just show you all the cards different, okay? And we'll just go from the top of the deck down, okay? So let's say the 10 of diamonds. So I've been playing around with something recently. Take a look. It goes right into the middle. Okay. And I'm not holding any break. Watch, if I snap my finger, I don't know if the camera could catch it, but and I don't know if you saw it, but one card traveled from the deck into my pocket. Quick, I know. It's kind of cool. Here, you know what? We'll do it again. let me just put this here. And we're going to try it kind of differently, okay? We'll go with the 6. Instead of making it go from my hand to my pocket, I'm going to try to get them to switch places, okay? So watch, hang on. Okay, it hasn't happened yet, but watch 6. If I shake, yeah, there it goes. So that's here, and the 6 is here. You know what? I'm gonna do it one more time. Now, last time I did this with the card face down, so you could actually see when it switched. Okay, so I'm gonna do it face up. Now, I don't know if you see on the camera, but when I shake the card really fast, you see how it kind of looks like the diamonds are moving a bit. Watch when I shake it a little bit slower. Oh, hang on. Interesting. Take a look. But you know what? Let me see if I can do this. Yeah, there it goes. Sweet.
Yes,
Cool, thank you. And that wasn't rehearsed, guys. That wasn't.
Aw. Well, thank you so much, Brandon.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
It was. It's always fun being with you.
Likewise.
Even if like I don't even know how far you are from me, but too far.
Across the river.
What's that?
Across the river, for sure.
Yeah, definitely across the river. So if you hang out just for a minute,
Yeah.
we can talk after the show.
Cool.
Cool. So that was Brandon Williams, and let me just say thank you again. Thank you again, Brandon. And thanks for being here. Next week we'll be on break because of Christmas, so there will be no show next Friday. But the following Friday, we have Steve Spade from Ireland, who is he's dubbed the Houdini of Ireland. And not only is he a master magician, but he's also a master escapologist. Wow, I said that right. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please let everybody know. Please go to the YouTube channel, Magic and Mysticism, and subscribe and like all my videos there. And I'll see you again real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.